just like that, the world of work, it completely changed, right? One day we're in the office, the next we're at the kitchen table. But here's the thing, that huge shift to remote work wasn't just about our commutes. It opened up this whole new digital world, and it's full of hidden dangers. So the big question is, how do we stay safe in all this? Well, we're about to find out.
And, this quote from a student's thesis just nails it. It really gets to the core of the problem. Think about it. For years, companies built their security like a fortress, a castle with a big wall and a deep moat. If you were inside, you were safe. But when everyone went remote, poof, that wall just dissolved. The company network wasn't in one building anymore. It was suddenly stretched out across thousands of different homes.
So that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If the old castle and moat thing doesn't work anymore, how in the world do we keep everything safe? Ourselves, our companies, all that data. How do we do it? Well, finding the answer to that is exactly what we're going to do right now. And to help us figure this out, we've got a guide. We're going to follow the research of a computer science student, Aminu Musa Umbersa, from Nile University of Nigeria. We're essentially diving into his thesis because it's this fantastic roadmap that breaks down all the new threats and, more importantly, shows us how to stay safe. We're going to walk through it pretty much chapter by chapter.
All right, so first things first, Chapter 2. The research starts where any good plan should. You've got to identify the bad guys, right? You can't build a solid defense if you don't even know what you're up against. So his first move was to map out all the hidden threats that are lurking out there in this new remote work world.
Okay, so the first big concept is something called the attack surface. Just think of it like this. It's all the different ways a hacker could try to get in. All the doors, all the windows. And what the research found is, well, with remote work, that number of doors and windows just exploded. I mean, dramatically. Suddenly, every employee's laptop, their phone, even their home Wi-Fi, each one became a brand new potential entryway for an attack.
Then there's an old classic, but one that's got a lot more dangerous: phishing. You know what this is, those scammy emails and texts trying to get you to click a bad link or give up your password. But here's the really smart insight from the thesis. Being physically isolated at home actually makes us way more vulnerable. Think about it. You can't just swivel your chair and ask a coworker, hey, does this look legit to you? And that little bit of social proof being gone? That's exactly what the bad guys are counting on.
And of course, we have to talk about BYOD, bring your own device. Look, using your own personal laptop or phone for work is super convenient. We all get that. But the research really points out the central problem here. That laptop you're using for sensitive work documents, it's the same one you use for your personal email, for shopping, for downloading whatever, and mixing that secure work stuff with all your, less secure personal activity. It's a total nightmare for security. So when you pull it all together, the research shows it's not just one or two little things. It's a whole ecosystem of risk. We're talking about everything from unsecured home Wi-Fi networks, the ones still using password as the password, to the human factor, which is really just our own lack of awareness. And that's before you even get to the big stuff like ransomware or these things called advanced persistent threats or APTs. Those are the really scary ones, kind of like silent, long-term digital spies. It's a whole web of danger. Okay, so we've seen the threats. They're real, they're out there. But knowing the enemy is only step one. The research then pivots to the most important part. What do we do about it? How do we actually fight back and build the defenses we need for this new world? And this right here, this is the absolute game changer. It's a fundamental shift in how we have to think about security. The old way, that castle and moat idea, basically said if you're inside the walls, you're a good guy. We trust you. The new way, the one we need now, is called zero trust. And the name says it all. The starting assumption is trust nothing and no one, not by default. It means every single person and every single device has to prove they are who they say they are every single time they want to do anything. So how do we do zero trust? The research boils it all down into 4 main pillars. It's actually pretty straightforward. Pillar 1, secure the endpoint. That's your laptop, your phone. It means having top-notch antivirus and keeping everything updated. Pillar 2, secure the access. This is huge. It means using multi-factor authentication, or MFA. That little code you get on your phone, it's one of your best friends in security. Third, secure the connection. This means using things like VPNs or, even better, something called ZTNA that basically acts like a super strict bodyguard for every app you use. And pillar 4, maybe the most important, secure the human. That's us. We need to be trained, we need to be aware, because we're on the front line.
Okay, let's get practical, because this isn't just a bunch of high-level theory. What's so great about this research is that it gives us a real action plan, a to-do list that works for everybody, whether you're running the company or it's your first day on the job. So let's dive into what the thesis says we should actually do. All right, for the people in charge, the leaders and managers, the recommendations are all about strategy. It starts at the top. You have to officially adopt that zero trust philosophy and make MFA mandatory for everyone, no exceptions. It also means putting your money where your mouth is and investing in better endpoint security, things like EDR or XDR. Think of these as guard dogs that are actively sniffing out trouble, not just waiting for an alarm to go off. And, of course, you've got to write down the rules. Clear policies built for how people work now. Now, for the IT pros, the folks who have to actually build and maintain all this stuff, the advice gets a bit more technical. The thesis says you've got to embrace tools that were born in the cloud. You need to automate everything you can, patching, monitoring, you name it. And you have to get laser focused on something called Identity and Access Management, or IAM. That's just a fancy way of saying you need to be absolutely certain that the right people are accessing the right files and nothing else, period.
Okay, now this one is for every single person listening, because security is not just the IT department's job anymore. The research is crystal clear on this. We are all part of the defense system. And our part is actually pretty simple. Use strong, unique passwords. Turn on MFA everywhere you can. Be paranoid about weird emails. Keep your stuff updated. And please, please, go change the default password on your home Wi-Fi router. These aren't suggestions. They're basically the new rules of the road.
And this last quote from the conclusion, it just sums up the why perfectly. Why are we doing all of this? Why bother? It's not really about just stopping hackers. It's about something bigger. It's about making sure our businesses can survive and thrive. It's about maintaining trust. And it's about protecting the very thing we all love about remote work, the freedom, the flexibility, the innovation. That's what's at stake. So there you have it. This research gives us an amazing blueprint for dealing with the threats we face right now. But, this stuff never stands still. And the thesis leaves us with a real cliffhanger, a question to chew on. It asks us to think about what's next. With AI getting smarter and more powerful every day, what does the next generation of cyber attacks even look like? And what will we have to invent to fight them? It's a battle that's really just getting started.